Catherine and Karen, daughters of retired Police Corporal Ray Hawkins. Ray has a significant role in the city of Dallas in history. Can you tell me a little bit about your father and his role back in the era of the Kennedy?
What he's told us is on that day he was in the traffic division working, and he had gotten a call that Officer Tippett had been shot, and that the gentleman from the shoe store next door had thought he had seen Lee Harvey Oswald, or somebody who looked like him, they didn't know who it was at the time, walk into the Texas Theater. So my dad was one of the policemen who responded to that at the Texas Theater. I can't remember if there was 5 or 6 of them. I know that Nick McDonald was the policeman who was walking up behind Lee Harvey Oswald, and Lee Harvey Oswald was sitting in a chair or in a movie seat, and when Nick came on Lee Harvey Oswald, they got into a scuffle, and Lee Harvey Oswald tried to shoot him, and from what I've heard, that Nick McDonald's finger got in between, whatever that is, the trigger, and before, kept the gun from going off. About that time, the rest of the policemen that were in the theater all came on the scene, my dad being one of them, and my dad, Ray Hawkins, was the one who handcuffed him.
And they did not know that he had assassinated the president. They were after him for the slaying of Officer Tippett.
You were pretty young.
I was 5.
You were 5.
Mm-hmm.
I was 7.
You were 7.
Mm-hmm. First grade. Yeah.
So at what age did you understand the significant role that your dad was at that time?
Oh gosh, much later. 'Cause I remember the exact day it happened, because my mother, I was in kindergarten, and my mother came and picked me up, and I remember all the women were crying. All the workers, everybody was crying. And I just remember my mom picking me up, and she worked, and I thought that was really great, because she was there early, and we went to the grocery store, and honestly, that's all I remember up until, I don't know, maybe it was more late elementary or junior high.
So was it something that was discussed when you guys were older, and you realized the significance of
I think, yeah, we were older, because I don't remember it being talked about a lot, in front of us as kids. If we did, we certainly didn't either pay attention or realize it. My dad was not a huge talker, so he's kind of a private guy a little bit. He is extremely humble. So I don't know that he thought he was that big of a deal of what he did. He realized the part he played in it, but he didn't, I don't think he even had an idea that, that would keep following him through the years like it has. I know that over the years, he had numerous phone calls or was asked for interviews or his thoughts on what he really thought happened, or was it one man, was it, was it more than one person, more than one shooter? He has always thought, or told us, because we've asked him before, that he thought it was just the act of one person. Now, whether somebody set him up to do that, who knows, because nobody knows.
That was the biggest question always.
I know.
Yeah, nobody knows, because he was, killed, 2 days later, or one day, however long later. But he always thought it was just the one man involved in one shooter.
So, did you, like I said, back when the anniversary thing came, did your kids, did they think that was pretty cool?
Oh, they think it's so cool, yeah. And our kids have known about it growing up, and they probably thought it was, they realized the significance maybe more than we did at their age.
Yeah.
Because I'd always say, oh, well, your grandfather, had, this has happened.
Also, when the 50th anniversary came, we had an invitation to go to the Texas Theater and watch a documentary that Jim Lavelle's granddaughter put together. It was a very, very nice night. They took very, very good care of him. So.
Good.
I think after a certain number of years and phone calls, he probably kind of found it a little bit of a nuisance sometimes because it was just the constant same questions over and over.
Yeah, because I asked him a couple of days ago, I said, you know, Dad, it's coming up again. And he said, I am not going anywhere. I'm not answering the phone.
Yeah.
So that was just last week that I told him that. So.
Did you see how did it affect or change the way you guys lived in any way down the road? Or
I don't think so. I know that his, and I'm not sure even what point this happened, the actual handcuffs are in a museum somewhere, aren't they?
In California, I believe.
He did sell them. Don't know when, don't have any idea how much for. I know that happened some years ago. Probably quite a while ago.
It was quite a while before the 6th floor museum, because I think if he had known that that might have come to pass, he might have saved them. But not knowing that Dallas was going to do that, I'm sure that was why that decision was made. But he was very happy. He never talked about it. To him, it was what was expected of him. It was his job. It was his duty to protect. It was his duty to find out what happened and what happened to Officer Tippett especially. So to him, it was what was expected and what he was to do. So it was never brought up as we were growing up to me.
He would not if he was just meeting somebody for the first time, he would never volunteer that information. That's what. Now, if you ask him, he would say yes, but he would just never volunteer. Oh, I'm the guy who. That's just wasn't. That just wasn't his way.
At the time, around that era, how long had your dad been on the department?
Well, he 11 years.
11 years.
Okay. He started in 1953.
1953. Okay. Retired Police Corporal Ray Hawkins. Badge number 887. You realize we're like in the 11,000s now.
I know, that's what they're saying. It's crazy.
Yeah, how significant that number is. Wow. 887, you know. Of course, on Friday, November 20th, 2:30 p.m., you know, homegoing service will be held for your dad.
This is one thing he told me many years ago, and you have to understand he is a very easygoing, mild-mannered person. He said that when he dealt with people, you know, whether, you know, criminals, whoever they were he was dealing with, that he always tried to give people dignity and respect, and that he found that if he did that, that he had a lot less trouble with them. And I really admired that about him.
Yes.
But that was his, I remember him telling me that, and I always admired that, because I thought, you know, you're right, because it doesn't matter, you know, where you are in life or what you've done. If people treat you with some respect, you tend to not have as much problems with them. And that was the big thing. And I mean, he loved his years on the force. You know, all his friends were policemen. I mean, maybe a few acquaintances outside. They're all policemen, and they have all, you know, through death, that's the only way that they haven't stayed friends. Many of them since 1953. The ones that are still around, and younger ones. I mean, even the younger police loved him. He was a mentor to several. I know one of his pallbearers is an Officer Tim Robbins, and I don't know Tim, but I know that he felt my dad really was a guiding force for him in the police department.
In my hand, I have right here, Roderick Janik provided me a script that was testimony of Corporal Hawkins. Mr. Bob, where did you park? Mr. Hawkins, parked my squad car in the alley at the rear of the theater. Mr. Bob, then what did you do? Mr. Hawkins, officer, I believe Officer McDonald was at the back door at the time, and Officer Hudson and Captain Westbrook and Officer Walker and myself went in the rear door. All went to the rear door, and at this time we saw a white male there and began talking to him. He identified himself as being the manager of the shoe store next door. He was a person who had noted suspicious acting of the suspect. And he at that time was brought into the rear of the theater and on the stage. He pointed the person out sitting about 3 or 4 rows from the back of the theater on the right hand or the south side. Yeah. And so something else that I think speaks to the character of just listening to you guys talk and how this is significant, but how we're understanding that he's just doing my job.
Yeah.
That speaks a lot to that character there, and I appreciate the conversation with you guys. I was listening.
Yeah.
You guys were talking, I was like, wow. I mean, that's something that we need more of.
Exactly.
Just doing my job.
Yeah. I don't think he thought he was any big deal. I don't. I mean, even with all this and, all the attention,
Yeah.
I just don't think he really thought of it that way. Now, he liked some of the, I think at the 50th anniversary, that's probably the first time I really saw him kind of get into it a little bit more and be more, I don't know, I think he enjoyed that. He really enjoyed them. I think they sent a limo out to pick him up to go to the Texas Theater. Because that time he wasn't doing a whole lot of driving. And, so he liked some of the special star treatment at that point.
So, on behalf of the Dallas Police Department Media Relations Unit, myself as an officer, I want to thank you guys for your dad, the years of service that he did to City of Dallas here and Dallas Police Department and leaving such a legacy behind for us. It's something that we can capture on video, your expressions and stuff like that for us to have and share with everybody. We really appreciate your time.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're incredibly proud of him, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.